I am the luckiest person on the planet today. I have a dear friend, Harriet Stein, my beautiful friend. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, Francesca. Thank you so very much for inviting me to be here with you, share my passion for you and your audience.
Oh, you're so sweet. And I love your passion. It's actually reflected directly behind you, which is your newly published book, Perfect Attendance. Congratulations, by the way, because I know that was an incredible effort and journey for you. And I just finished reading it, and I'm so happy in the timing of this that we can talk about this magnificent work that you do. And it's around mindfulness. Let's talk about, Harriet, your incredible work and kind of how we were discussing in the green room. Let's start with the topic for you.
You know, it's very interesting. I wrote the book because when people ask me to speak, I run out of time. Okay. And it's kind of like a pilot running out of runway. There are 9 attitudes that we cultivate with a mindfulness practice because it's a practice. And the thing
Mm,
is, people are always, they're stressed, they're comparing themselves to others. They look on social media and they think that they're the only ones that don't have it together when
mm,
everyone is dealing with something and we rarely know it. Yes, some people will share it, but frequently we do not know what other people are dealing with. So, this is truly a practice of just paying attention moment by moment. And it's a practice of non judgment and compassion. And I think, they say self care is not a luxury. Right now, this begins with us.
I love that because, Harriet, it's not just mindfulness in ourselves. Like you said, it's compassion, it's mindfulness for others. Does that
Mhm.
sound about right? It's just in the universe of mindfulness.
Yeah, it's for everybody. And I think when we talk about non-judgment, we frequently think about, oh, we shouldn't judge that person or that event, when really, who do we judge the most? Us.
Yes.
We are so hard on ourselves. So this is a wonderful opportunity to, all through the book, I encourage people to just place a pause, not for an hour, not for 15 minutes, a moment, to
Right.
just place a pause for a moment and check in with yourself to see, what are you thinking? Where
Yeah.
are you?
Where are you? There's a level of simplicity that I embrace there, Harriet, because as you said, it's for everyone. Everyone can do this, and everyone deserves happiness. And your book provides several examples of why it's so important. And, as I'm listening to you also, I think about where it's easy to practice judgment, and that's road rage, right? This topic has come up time and time again on this show where we don't know why someone is cutting us off. We can get upset or perhaps take a step back and say, you know what? Maybe that individual is running to the hospital because they have someone who's very ill. Like,
Mhm.
that's the pause part, right?
Exactly. Exactly. During one of my programs, somebody mentioned that they were on a virtual call with their team, and all of a sudden they heard snoring, right? And there were a lot of people on the call, and they had to figure out, who it was, and then they muted that person's microphone. But the thing is, in that moment, when they heard snoring, right there, you could easily go to judgment, right? That, this person should have gotten up. This is an important meeting. They're not prepared for the meeting. You could have brought a lot of judgment to that situation. Or or just like that road rage, you could have paused and thought to yourself, well, what if they were up all night, maybe providing some caregiving, taking care of somebody, and they're just exhausted right now? And the thing is, we don't know. We rarely ever know why that person cuts us off in traffic or
Mm.
why that person fell asleep
Right.
during our important meeting, right?
Right. Right. I love that. So let's share some tips then with the audience of different ways that we can condition ourselves so this becomes a very easy and mindful practice.
Yeah. I think a great way to make this practice stick is to set reminders for yourself. Whether
Mm,
you do it with calendar appointments, whether you set a little reminder on your watch, maybe, so that every hour you can check in with yourself and notice, right? Place that pause and notice, are you thinking about a past that you can never change? Right? Oh, why did I send that email? Or why didn't I call that person? Or why didn't I speak up in the meeting? Or right? We can go down that pathway. Or noticing if you're thinking about something in the future, a to-do list, or maybe even a worry about something that could happen or could not happen in the future. And if we could tell the future, we all would have won the lottery by now. So we can tell the future.
right.
And the thing is, the moment every hour when you check in with yourself, and if you notice you're in the past or thinking about the future, in that instant, you are back in the present moment. The
Right.
only moment that actually exists is
Mhm.
right now.
That's right. Right now. That's the only one that actually exists right now. And I just setting reminders once per hour, and I would say if you miss an hour, double up on the next hour. Give yourself more time during the day. And for some people, this may seem impossible, but it's a habit, right? It's creating a sequence that you can work with personally. We're all, work it into your individual day, and that makes sense. So, what else can we share to help people feel just great and appreciative of the present moment?
Well, I think the more I realize that people want to have memories. And
Mm,
if you are not paying attention, you will not make the memory. So that if you are going to a pool party this afternoon, or if you have a birthday celebration you might be going to, or a holiday celebration, or a wedding, or any type of event, or just taking a walk with your kids, the only way you will make that memory stick is if you are present for it.
mm,
And think back on your life to a wonderful, fantastic, happy, cherished memory that you will never forget. You have that memory because you were present for it. You were not checking your phone. You were not thinking of the past, so that you were attending the event and not thinking, oh, I have to get home later and I have a lot of laundry to do, or I have to call that person back. But you were actually present for it and using all of your senses so that
mm.
if you're at a pool party or at a dinner party, not just looking at the people and listening to the people, but noticing how it feels in your body, right? What are you smelling? What does that feel like? Really using, do you feel wind on your face? Noticing, using all of your senses to really make that memory stick.
Love that. It sounds like a spa day, and we're just defining a few moments in time that we can experience a spa moment.
Mhm,
And for me, and this was, pre cell phones and, having a camera on our cell phone. For me, one of the most incredible memories that I have is with my parents and when I graduated college, because that was a huge deal.
mhm,
And I have a picture that is the three of us holding my diploma for whatever that's worth, but, and I'm in my cap and gown and it's
mhm,
tattooed on my brain, Harriet, and that is a moment that I think of that, they were proud of me. I was proud of myself because I worked hard. I was unlike anybody else in my family. I went rogue and said, "Yes, I'm going to college," you know?
mhm, mhm.
But I guess we can ask the audience members to think of a similar circumstance that they can always, I don't want to say circumstance, I would say event, positive event they can always come back to and experience that and know that that's a feeling that they deserve, right?
Exactly. Because we all know the opposite. We know what it's like to drive down the road and not even see anything that we've passed and then think to ourselves, I hope I stopped at that stop sign, because
Mm,
we're so much in our heads that we miss everything going on around us.
yeah. And I would venture to say, speaking of driving, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a lot of people driving and using their cell phone at the same time.
Mm,
So,
mm,
and driving really fast.
mm,
So let's make this a public service announcement. So let's just drive that big
mm,
hunk of metal and keep your mind
mm,
on the road, because it's so easy for us to multitask. I think we're so accustomed now to just
mm.
doing multiple things. And I think what you're suggesting here is that we step back and go back to one thing.
Exactly. And they did that research at Stanford over a decade ago that said that multitasking decreases our productivity. If you want to get more done at work or in your personal lives, focus on one thing at a time.
That is a grand takeaway. You should know that. You've made my job so easy, Harriet. So I always round up the show with the top three takeaways. That's definitely one, because you're
Mm,
right. I think we need to remind ourselves that we can try to convince ourselves that we can, type and text and drive and do all this stuff at the same time, but we can't. So it's a matter of safety and
mhm.
health and well-being as far as I'm concerned, right?
It's true,
Yeah.
100%. And you deserve your life, not just of all the other lives around you. So that if you're driving down the road and you hear that phone go off and you avert your eyes for even a moment, your car is still traveling through space. And
Mm-hmm.
life changes in moments, in absolute moments.
Yep.
And, people deserve to be alive and safe and healthy.
Yep. So how do you feel about beginner's mind?
Mhm.
Say this topic, Harriet, is brand new for someone who's listening today, or perhaps there's someone listening and they're like, my friend should hear this. What would you offer to someone who's brand new in this topic?
Well, that's the really great thing about this practice. One of the 9 attitudes, like you just said, is beginner's mind, which is this day has never come before. This
Mm,
moment has never come before. So, no matter how many times you have met with maybe those people at work or even family members, you have never seen them today. So wouldn't that be interesting if you went into your next meeting and thought to yourself, oh, you know what? It's a new day, right? So instead of thinking, oh, there's that person that's going to interrupt me, and there's that person that's going to come in late and ask me to repeat everything. And, it's noticing the stories we
mm.
make up in our mind. Because just like we make up stories about other people, they are making up those same stories about us.
Yes, they are.
So
Well,
realizing every moment is a clean and fresh slate.
mhm, that's perfect. Speaking of perfect, and stories. Let's pull together then why you called your book Perfect Attendance, because I think it's such a lovely story and ties in a lot of the things that we're talking about today. Would you be okay with sharing that?
Sure, definitely. I like yourself. I had an incredible relationship with my mom, and she was diagnosed with cancer, and she was in the hospital. And I asked her what she was thinking about, and she said, "Oh, I broke my record. I hadn't had a sick day in 7 years." And this is a woman that, even after being diagnosed with metastatic cancer, was still going to work, still climbing those iron stairs up the train. And when she was at work and Xeroxing, she was sitting on the floor next to the Xerox machine.
Goodness.
And I think we all can relate to really giving not just 100% at work, but 110% at work. So I said to her, perfect attendance regarding your record, perfect attendance is being present for life. It's not about being present for work. So
Um,
that's how I came up with the title for it.
which I think is just so beautiful. And every time I hear it, I get the chills, Harriet, because it is so important for us to just have attendance for our life in these moments like this one right now, as I have the honor and time to spend with you. So if we were to have one final takeaway to
Mhm.
share with the audience that we haven't touched on yet. What would you offer?
I'm gonna use one from my very first mindfulness teacher, John Kabat-Zinn, who says that if you are alive, there is more right with you than wrong with you. So to really realize that you're doing the best you can. And I always say mindfulness is not about being happy, it is about being authentic. And if you're going through some difficult things right now, just realize that it's just right now. It's not necessarily going to be forever. None of us know what's going to happen 6 months from now or 6 minutes from now. So to just see if you can just get through this moment and realize that you're doing the best you can.
That is so beautiful. That touches my heart. So, and all this incredible work, Harriet, that you get to do and spreading this beautiful message. Do you have a favorite piece of clothing or accessory, and how does it make you feel?
It's actually, that's a great question. It's actually jewelry. So
Okay.
every time I'm asked to speak, I always wear something of my mother's. And I mean, I know she's with me whether or not I wear it, but I just take her along for the ride since she never really got a chance to ever see me speak. I kind of like that she's with me.
That is so beautiful. Brings me to tears because I feel the same way, right? Our mothers are with us for sure. All
Hmm.
right, my beautiful friend Harriet. Someone wanted to continue the conversation, buy
Hmm.
your book, Perfect Attendance, which I have, and strongly encourage people to touch and read. Where's the best place for people to find you, Harriet?
I would say the easiest way to contact me is from my website. It's harrietstein.com. They can always find me on LinkedIn as well and reach out and connect. I always say that there's so much on the internet about how to contact us nowadays that just call before you show up at my house.
Beautiful advice. I will certainly put those links in the show notes to make it nice and easy for everyone. Everyone deserves it. Everyone deserves to be happy. And I am so grateful for you and your time, Harriet. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you as well. Thank you so very much for giving me this opportunity. You are changing the world, and I am just grateful to be part of the circle. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. Take care.
Too.